Hi, Kalas. So this video is actually looking at how to easily identify color issues or color casts in your images. So this might look like an easy image, but it's actually quite difficult. But it's a good image to practice how to analyze where there's color issues and sometimes catching color issue is just a matter of training your eyes, right? And so our first tip is when we look at this, aesthetically, it's a bit too orange and red for me. And how could you tell is usually around these areas here. So let's look at, and white areas are easy to tell if there's a color issues. Or if you have color issues. So let's look at this. One adjustment I like to look at is actually the hue and saturation, and kind of use this eyedropper and touch the red. So if there's no color issue, when I use an eyedropper, it should give a pretty neutral color. But right now it's telling me it's a bit over red in the white areas. So this obviously is more red. Okay, so there's a few ways to do it. So we basically want to turn this image to something more neutral like this, right? Which is easier on the eye. This one, I actually don't know where I'm looking at the roses or at the model. So besides a color issue, there's also a focus issue for me. So let's correct this. So this becomes more a balanced image, right? That it's less about the rose and more about the model emotion and the reaction with the rose. So the rose doesn't take over like this image. Okay, so let's edit this. So first of all, we know that it is, let's delete this and do it together. Let's delete that. Okay, so first of all, we know it's either a little bit magenta or red, but I would say it's red just because of the clothes. So the easy way is to actually bring out a color filter. So to balance an offset red, we are going to use cyan. See, easily that's the color cast removed already. But now I notice there's a little bit too much cyan in the whites. So I'm going to bring that down until I don't see any cast there. Okay, so see, if I bring it too much, then there's nothing. If I bring it the other way, it's too much cyan. So it's all about getting a balance there. So I think I am happy around here. There's not much of a cyan in the on the white area. Maybe I can go down to 13. Yeah, that's better. So there's no cyan here. Okay, and the red is removed. Okay, the next thing, so I'm going to change that and say photo filter, cyan, and then that's fine. So I know in the future what I have done. The other thing is it's also quite saturated, and that's sometimes when things are saturated, you also have a color issue. So let's bring hue and saturation. I want to desaturate the red. So I'm going to bring this red, so not master, but red. And then I'm going to maybe bring it down slightly. Oh, that's much better. So now the red cast is removed further. Change label, hue saturation, red, -10. I think that was -10. So let's double check. Oh, -17. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this image. Put it into a group called Global Edits. And that's all it is with this photo. Okay, so you are changing from this to this. Okay, let's look at the second image now. That one I find a lot of people have trouble with. So let's analyze what's wrong with this photo. So before you jump in and start editing, I want everyone to step back and analyze the photo. So what's wrong with this photo? So first thing is if you recall what I said earlier, the easiest way to find if there's a color issue is in the white area. So one thing here, I notice it's a bit red in her eyes, so I know her face is a bit too red. And over here, it seems like there's a little bit blue and pink, combination of that. So let's address her face first. Okay, so the easy way for this one, because it's so specific in color and there's so many different colors, I'm gonna choose hue and saturation. Okay, so, or and from hue and saturation, you can also tell if there's a color issues, or what color issues there are. So one thing is here's blue, so I was correct. So it's a bit blue. And if you pick the eye, it's a bit too red. Okay, so we know that there's two different issues we need to address. So let's address the red around her face. So I'm going to desaturate that. So if you go overboard, you kind of desaturate all the colors. So which is really interesting to see. If I take away all the red, what are the colors remaining? Which means most of the image has a red color cast. Obviously on the shirt, because the shirt is naturally red. Okay, so just slightly red on her face. So I'm just going to try -15. That seems to remove all that. Closest hue saturation. I always like to have these adjustment on separate layers. That way I know I can go back and adjust that one specific one, or remember where I place things. So that's how I'm going to name this layer. I'm going to create another hue and saturation, and this time I'm going to address this background, which is slightly blue. So I'm going to bring this back. There's still a little bit blue color cast. And bring all the way down to 50. That seems to remove all the color issue. Okay, let's go -60. So that's quite a bit of blue to remove. Okay, so rename the folder hue and saturation blue -60. Okay, I think I like the image here in terms of removing the color cast. So I'm going to put global edit. However, I think it's a bit dull now, so what I might want to bring in is a curve and lift it a little bit high up, make it a little contrasty. Okay, I'm just going to apply maybe just percentage of that. Okay, so maybe a little more. There you go. So that created a bit more contrast. Okay, so this is before. The red closest too intense, and because she's wearing red, the color cast went onto her face, and then because of the lighting's probably from the outdoor, it's creating a blue cast on the background. So there's quite a bit of issue, and I find personally the red is overshadowing her face. So this is before and this is after. Now it's a little bit more balanced. You really can see her face a little bit more. Okay, so these are just the two or easy edits that you can, or easy ways you can edit an image with color issues. So practice this if you have issues, or if I left any comments in the exercise.